Hello, world. Welcome to another episode of the Silent Conversations podcast. It's your brother Silent Sound, and we're back with another episode. So, today we are talking about three C's to development. Um, these are three core principles that I see as very important when it comes to development, things that I've looked at as pillars of development for myself. And what these three C's represent are things that are within our realm of control that we have when it comes to making our life better, making our days better, making our perspective better, our attitudes better, our general direction to life becomes better when we really take these three C's serious and we move forward with them. So let's get right to it. There's no need to waste any time. So these three C's consist of choices, commitments, and consequences. These particular words I chose because, again, these things represent things that we have control over. We all have control over our choices. We all have control over the things that we commit to. And we definitely have control over how we look at and the responsibilities that come with the consequences of these choices and commitments that we all have control over, whether we're willing to endure them or if we're willing to repel against them or go against them. So that's what I want to dive in today. So let's start with the first C. So when we think about choices, whether we voluntarily or involuntarily choose to wake up and make our day better and decide that we're going to work out, or we decide that we're going to read a book, or we decide that we're going to make a specific choice in the direction of growth for ourselves, that's something that we can control. We control the things that we eat, the things that we consume, the things that we watch on TV. We get to choose these things. Now, as a result of these choices is what we call reality, our perception on life, our lifestyle, our um, results of the choices is called our life. So if we're not the happiest with our life, then we then have to analyze and look at what our choices were. What choices did we make over a long period of time, whatever our age is? What choices have we been making since we've had control or the authority over our choices? What have we done with those choices? And what are we going to continue to do with those choices will be a result of what our life will be and continue to be. So when it comes to self-development, we choose to grow. If we're choosing to develop ourselves, if we're choosing to put the best foot forward and choosing to learn a new skill, learn something about ourselves, fall in love with ourselves, fall back in love with ourselves, whatever it may be, whatever lane in which we choose to grow in or develop in, that choice is in our control, and we have to take control of that. A lot of things happen to us which we may become victims of our circumstance, but we have a choice in how we think about those things, how we allow those things to affect us, how we allow those things to hold us back. So once we start making the right intentional choices to grow and move forward, and not to fall back into a victim mind state of thinking that this has happened to me and woe is me, but we start to choose to make the right decisions that will contribute to our growth, at that point, we're able to move forward and represent ourselves in a better fashion. Another thing we want to look at and think about as well are our reactions to uh, life around us or the world around us after we make a choice. One thing about that, since we have control over our choices, others don't have control over our choices. So when we make a choice or we make a decision, when we choose to go down a certain path, we have no control over the reactions of others when we start to develop and start to change the things that we do or change the person that we are within, which then starts to reflect on who we are with on the outside. So we can't have no control over that. So we have to be able to have control and choose to have a positive mindset and be at peace with individuals who may be uncomfortable with the new you, may be uncomfortable with the choices that you make, that may be better for you, but may not be as beneficial for others. So we have to be okay with those things. Yes, isolation comes with certain choices. You choose a different way to eat, then you may not make other people comfortable to eat or cook around you or want to indulge in certain things because they don't want to influence you or don't want to feel insecure around you because you're choosing to have a healthier lifestyle or an unhealthier lifestyle depending on what your choices are. And you may make people around you uncomfortable depending on what environment you're in, and you have to choose to be okay with that. The next thing we look at would be our commitments. When you think about commitment, you think about an agreement. What are you agreeing to? What are you choosing or signing up to agree to? Is what these choices lead to, because we can choose to do anything. People choose to build businesses. People choose to become whatever they desire to be: basketball players, lawyers, doctors. People choose that. They choose career paths, but they have to commit to that lifestyle. They have to commit to that process, commit to the way of learning in order to develop the skills in order to perform the at the level in which you can graduate, or you graduate, or you can reach to a point where you're successful in that field. You have to commit to that process. You can't just choose to be a doctor and walk into a hospital and say, I want to be a doctor. You have to make a commitment. And once you make that commitment, you can't be lackadaisical with that commitment. You have to be consistent. Commitment is aligned with being consistent, because over a period of time, you have to endure the good things and the so-called bad things that come with that choice, which is the third C, the consequence. Now, getting back to commitments, when you commit to developing, when you commit to growing, when you commit to being a better person, that's a choice that you make that you have to do over a consistent basis. But are you ready for the consequence that comes behind the commitment and the choice that you made? We may choose to want to be a millionaire, but are we willing to go through what it takes to become a millionaire? Are you willing to commit to selling your products or selling your services, selling your courses, selling your content, whatever you have going on a consistent basis in order to bring in the results that you need in order to achieve the goal of becoming a millionaire? Are you willing to put in that type of work? That is the question that you have to answer, because the consequence of becoming a millionaire may be sleepless nights. It may be being uncomfortable, having to wake up early every day, having to go to sleep late every day, having to commit your time to different things that you may not used to commit your time to, but now you have a choice to make that would either be a decision that's beneficial for you in your growth and beneficial for you reaching your goal, or you make a choice that go backwards. You make a choice to stay stagnant. You make a choice not to grow. That is in your realm of control. So choices, commitments, and consequences. Everything is cause and effect. When you take an action, there's an equal and balanced reaction that comes with that. If you commit to reading a book or a page a day, or you commit to reading 12 books a year, one book a month, you make that choice, you make that commitment. The consequence of that choice is that you will have read 12 books by the end of the year. The consequence that comes behind making that choice and sticking to that commitment is that you will develop a bigger vocabulary. You will be exposed to different topics. You will be exposed to the fact that you may can read books faster. You may have set out a goal to read 12 in a year and end up reading 31, 40 books in a year. It's just up to you and the choices that you make, the commitments that you make, and your willingness to accept the consequences that come behind those choices. Now, in reading those 12 books or reading those 50 books in a year, the consequences that come behind that choice may mean you don't go out as much. It may mean you don't get to go out to eat as much. You're going to spend that money on buying books and investing in knowledge, investing in information, investing in courses, investing in curriculums in order to build new skills, because you are now becoming fascinated with growing and what the results of that. But there is a consequence. But that doesn't mean that consequences are negative. See, sometimes we look at consequences only a negative thing, meaning that you make a decision and now you've done something wrong and all of a sudden you deserve a consequence. Now you need to be disciplined. But these words have been given negative connotations, and they've been given to us or programmed to us in a way to only look at these things as negative. So we run away from discipline. We run away from that word. We run away from consequence. We run away from commitment because we look at these things in a negative light. But if we rewire our minds, if we reprogram ourselves into understanding that these words have negative and positive connotations and focus on the positive connotation of these words, we'll understand that we use these words, however voluntary or involuntary, on a regular basis. So thinking about and tapping in to who you are and choosing to self-develop, choosing to grow as a person, choosing to be who you say you are going to be and committing to that only serves that the effect to that will be the results of you reaping the benefits or the success or reaching those goals that you set out for. So again, I ask that question, are you ready to commit to the consequences of your choices? See, a lot of times we make choices and we make decisions. We blindly accept the consequences without knowing what we're signing up for. We may choose to eat this meal and we love the way that it tastes, but we don't look at the ingredients. We don't look at the byproduct or the results that if I continuously eat this particular meal, what is going to happen to me over the long run? What is the compound interest on that choice that I made? What am I committing to blindly and then suffering the consequences to later? That is the question. And that is something that we have to look into. The next question I ask is how to make better choices. That comes from a mindset. When you think about self-development, it starts in the mind. Everything starts in the mind. Every new idea, every great invention, every new successful person, every famous person all started with a thought first. So your first thing you have to work on would be your mindset. The first thing to conquer would be your mental attitude. Because if your mind is unstable, if your mind is chaotic, if your mind is not in a place where you can make rational decisions, how will you be willing to stick to the commitment that comes with that choice and then willing to endure through the consequences and be willing to see the lessons that come with those choices as a positive and not a negative? If you're making decisions irrationally because your mind isn't on the right track, or your mind isn't strong enough to endure the anxiety, the adversity, the opportunities, the difficulties that come with growing, then at that point you may be willing to quit. And if you're willing to quit on one thing, then you're willing to quit on the next thing. If you're willing to quit on small tasks, then you're willing to quit on big tasks. So we have to put everything in the right perspective in order for us to understand that in development, there's multiple layers, there's multiple levels, there's multiple lessons in which we have to learn in order for us to grow. So tap in to yourself and definitely look at development as a choice that you make, a commitment that you choose, and then go endure the consequences that come with that choice, because you know at the end of the day you're going to reach the goal that you're looking for. The next question would be how to commit. When you look at commitment, the first thing we talked about was consistency. Consistency is committing to or being willing to stick through your trial regardless of what the results are. Are you willing to do that same particular task every day? Are you willing to go to the gym every day and commit to this workout plan regardless if you see the six-pack today or tomorrow or the next month or the next 90 days or 12 months from now? Are you willing to be consistent in it? Are you going to go there at the same time? Are you commit the same amount of hours? Are you willing to draw that particular art piece every day? Are you willing to write in your journal every day? Are you willing to commit or choose to commit to a consistent path of growth on a regular basis? That's how you commit, because over time you will then increase your results because you're able to put up the shot, so to speak. So the reason why Steph Curry is able to shoot multiple three-pointers in a game from whatever spot is because he consistently shows up in the gym whatever time it is and puts up the shots. He made a choice and a commitment and is willing to endure the consequences, which is, I'm not going to be able to see my family as much today. I'm going to have to get up super early. I can't stay up too late because I know I got to be at the gym by this time because I got to put up 1,000 shots before we even start practice. After practice, I got to do this. The same thing with Kobe Bryant, the same thing with Michael Jordan, the same thing with LeBron James, the same thing with every legend that we've seen in any athletic sport, academic sport, anything that we've seen be successful. They made a choice. They made a commitment to consistently deliver results on a regular basis and suffer and endure the consequences, whether positive or negative, in order to reap the results. So we have to tap into that. Then we look at the last thing, good and bad consequences. There are good and bad, or negative and positive consequences to every decision and choice that we make. Are we willing to endure that? Are we willing to commit to that? Are we willing to look at these things as not opportunities to take ourselves down, or opportunities to take a break, opportunities to hinder ourselves, but these are opportunities to learn, adjust, and then move forward. When you think about growing, and you think about these things. You make choices, you have to make choices, you make commitments, and then you have to endure the consequences. You think about three things that come with that, and that those three things are challenges, adversity, and negativity. But if you take these three words, challenges, adversity, and negativity, the first letter of all of those is CAN, and that means you still can. These things may present themselves, challenges may present themselves. You may have adversity, you may have hardship, you may have negativity, you may have a mindset of negativity, you may have people around you who are negative who try to pull you down. But the question is, are you still going to persevere? Because you still can. There's multiple or endless examples you can look up of people who had adversity, that's something that may have been similar or worse to what you've been through, and yet they were able to be successful. So we can't condemn ourselves and look down on ourselves. We have to look at ourselves as responsible for ourselves and make the right choice, make the right commitments, and endure the consequences, whether they're positive or negative. So yes, tap in. Definitely make sure I appreciate everybody tapping in. Definitely like the likes. Everyone's live on Tagged. Everybody live on Instagram as well. This is a live recording of the Silent Conversations podcast. I appreciate all of y'all. But yes, today we're talking about choices, commitments, and consequences. So yes, you don't want to be the victim. You want to be the victor. We don't have control over the circumstances in which we may be in. We may not have choices over the way we look to some degree. We may not have choices about the way we speak in certain manners. We may not have control over that. But we do have control over what we do with them, and we do have control over what we do about the circumstances we are around, and how we look at them, and adjusting our attitudes and perspectives in order to get past. So everything when it comes to self-development comes down to, what are you willing to do for yourself? What are you willing to do with yourself, for yourself, and in order to better yourself when it comes to developing? A few episodes back, we spoke about how to cheat your way to success. And cheat is CHEEAT. Consistency, hard work, environment, enthusiasm, authenticity, and teamwork. If you're willing to put in these things on a consistent basis, if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to be consistent, you're willing to put yourselves in the right environment, you're willing to be enthusiastic about your growth, meaning that you're not willing to take the negativity, the challenges, the adversity as things that are going to hinder you, but you be enthusiastic that if you endure, that you're going to reach your goal. You stay authentic to who you are as a person, you remain yourself, and you stick to having teamwork. And teamwork is not just about seeking out others to help you. You also have to be within yourself. You yourself and I have to also, you yourself have to also be in a me, myself, and I mind state, in that you have to work with your team as well. Meaning that if you're thinking something, you have to put your body into action in order to bring those things into existence. That's still teamwork. If the mind is going one way and the body is going somewhere else, you're still out of line. You're still unstable. You are not achieving what we call teamwork with self. So how would you expect to put other individuals like yourself around each other in order to be a team and be able to have success as well, if you're not able to be at one with yourself? So again, don't be a victim, be a victor, and turn your pain into passion and purpose. You think about passion, and that is your zeal. That's your enthusiasm. That's the reason why you push so hard or why you go so hard. But then your purpose gives you back to your why. You go so hard because you want to make sure that you have a better way for this person, or you want to get out of this particular circumstance and be in a better circumstance. So that goes back to your choices, your commitments, and your consequences. This is something that I like to spend a lot of time on. Again, our motto is peace, positivity, and perspective. We always think about these three P's because for me, these are my core values. These are the core values that I use in order to keep a positive outlook, in order to have a better perspective, in order to keep a peace of mind. I look at these three words as the fuel behind everything that I do. It's the foundation behind everything that I do. It's the reason why I'm able to keep a cool head for the most part. It's the reason why I'm able to make rational decisions, I feel like, in my life, and be able to help and be able to be available to receive help, because I have this peace, positivity, and perspective mindset and core values. And this is something that I've spoken about a lot in my podcast. Again, this is my foundation, but I have now condensed this particular mindset into an ebook. It's about a 65-page ebook that talks about these core values and how to have a better day, regardless of the circumstances that come with that, regardless of what you may go through throughout that day. This particular book highlights how you can find those good moments and look at the whole picture versus just highlighting those bad moments or those negative moments or those negative people or those negative situations that may have happened, but highlighting those things that are empowering, that was in your day, things that were productive in your day, and being able to say, hey, I had a better day than I did yesterday. Yes, some things happened, but tapping into this book on the 16th of this month, which is this coming Monday, I'm releasing the ebook. Tap in. If you on this live and you want to get a copy, or if you catching this on the replay, DM me the word silent sound. Put it together, silent sound, all one word. And I'll send you the link to get you this copy. And if you if you get the link, you go to it, you'll be able to get, I believe you'll be able to get like 10% off. You may be able to get a 15% off if you sign up. But definitely tap in, sign up, get that discount code. You'll be able to get the book. But definitely make sure you tap in. This has been a great episode. I appreciate everyone tapping in on Instagram. This is the Silent Conversations podcast. Make sure you following the Instagram, the Silent Conversations with an S at the end podcast, on Instagram. Follow me on tag. That's him on tag, HIM, on tag. If you didn't know what that meant, I'm here to help, inspire, and move the people. I'm here to heal, influence, and motivate, and I'm always going to be humble, impactful, and here to manifest anything that I speak on. So I'm him. I hope you are her and him as well. Represent who you represent. I represent the one that created me, so I represent him. So I'm him. So that is me. I hope that you continue to grow and be you. As always, it's peace, positivity, and perspective. As always, I appreciate y'all for tapping in. Check out the Silent Conversations podcast. This is the 25th episode. We're going to keep on rocking new episodes every Saturday. Every Saturday on whatever you may listen to podcasts on. You can catch the live recordings if you're following us on Instagram. Again, that's the Silent Conversations podcast. But if not, and you want to catch the replays or catch the audio, you can always catch us on Apple Podcasts. You can catch us on Google Podcasts. You can catch us on Spotify. You can catch us on anything that has podcast streaming on there. I'm on all of it. Look up the Silent Conversations podcast. Again, this is your brother Silent Sound, and I'm signing out. Peace.